welcome to the kitchen of tbsp. And today we're going to do another recipe video. In this one, I went to an actual cookbook. This here is a Better Home and Gardens. It's been in the family for decades. And I was just watching some British show on television on November 23rd, you can imagine. I thought, well, I'm going to have something that's British sounding, like Yorkshire Pudding. And so I have a recipe here for it. You can either make it in something called custard cups in little individual portions, or I'm going to make it more like a casserole. There's another one that's actually like in a lasagna pan, but that calls for twice the ingredients. So I'm just going to take the custard cup size of the recipe and put it in a casserole thing. I'm deviating from the plan a little bit. The recipe, as stated in here, is rather bland. It's basically flour, eggs, and milk, and it's all stirred up and beaten up real nice and fluffy, and then you bake it in the oven, kind of like a souffle, and then it gets puffy. In my imagining, it would taste rather bland but filling. So, since I never take a recipe as is, I'm going to be making a few modifications to it. And we'll show you what these are. I'm going to be adding some ingredients. About 3 tablespoons of chopped onions and about half a dozen sausage links. They're already pre-cooked and ready to go. The other ingredients are a cup of flour, two eggs, a cup of milk. The casserole dish is greased. It calls for using like the grease of the meat you're cooking. So usually it's a roast beef or something, and so it would be beef grease or drippings. But since I'm using pork sausages, this here is some bacon grease. It also calls for a little bit of salt and a little bit of cooking oil. So we'll get on with that. Another topping I'm going back and forth over a little bit of grated Parmesan cheese. So let's see how this all turns out. We'll start putting the ingredients together and assembling it right away. And then a half a teaspoon of salt. And now it says to mix them until they are a consistency like whipped cream. So we're going to mix them up. And we're preheating the oven to 450. The recipe called for up to 475, but I want to be a little cautious on that because I'm cooking with class. After I've gotten the batter to a kind of a whipped cream texture, I'm supposed to add a tablespoon of cooking oil. Here's the cooking oil. You add it in, and then beat it for about another 15 or 20 seconds to get it in there good. I guess that gives it a really nice texture. Now, did I mention that I think the reason the one recipe mentioned 450 as the temperature is they preheated the cooking dish as well. So I'm going to preheat the cooking dish for a few minutes to get it hot so we can pour our batter into it. Be sure to take precautions and wear oven mitts when it gets to be hot. As things progresses during our Yorkshire pudding recipe, I thought I might also mention that I've never cooked Yorkshire pudding ever in my life. So this is the first try. So it'll be interesting to see how it turns out on the first try basis from a recipe in a book. Now the next stage is a two-stage cooking process. So first we're going to add the batter to the hot pan, and then it'll start cooking. And that will go for about 10 or 15 minutes. Use your oven mitts, of course. And now we add the batter. And it's starting to cook already in the hot pan. And then we add our flavoring enhancers. Onions, 3 tablespoons of onions, and 6 cut up pork sausages. And then it goes right into the oven to cook for 10 to 15 minutes at the high temperature. Then I mentioned it's also good and standard best practices to keep track of your time. So I had set this timer for 15 minutes, and now it's just counting down to when I have to turn the temperature down to 350, where the oven temperature has to drop to 350. So we just push the temperature down. There we go, 350. And then it's supposed to coast for about 30 minutes. Let's just see what we have in here so far. Well, it's coming along. And that's when we put the cheese on top. We'll let it go 10 minutes after that too when it's done, for it to get done. It's time to add the cheese topping. It's coming out dry, that's a good sign. And here is some crushed Parmesan cheese. I suppose you could use mozzarella, cheddar, even feta cheese, or blue cheese. We're in for about another 15 minutes to let the cooking finish. 15 more minutes. And here is the Yorkshire pudding. It smells fabulous. I think the cheese was the right thing to add. Actually, I'm having the feeling like it's a pizza, a thick crust pizza. I think it would have been good with mushrooms in it too. Let's just try a little bit. Delish. There it is. Yorkshire pudding, cooked to perfection, with the addition of pork sausages, onions, and a little Parmesan cheese melted over the top, to the point where it's now crispy and yummy. Probably best eaten hot. So that's Yorkshire pudding from the kitchen of Tenalia C. Until later, we'll be seeing you.